The girl with eyes like fire, no one remembered the day she was born. Not even her mother. They only remembered the moment her eyes first opened. They were not normal eyes. They glowed red, like burning stars. On her planet, red eyes meant danger. Red eyes meant death. They called her Kealara. Her people were not human, tall, silver-skinned, with glowing marks on their arms. They were once rulers of many worlds. But now their race was fading, and someone like Kealara, someone with fire in her eyes, reminded them of old wars and lost power. They were afraid of her. When Kealara was just 5, other children ran from her. When she walked near, lights flickered. Machines broke. Animals screamed. She didn't know why. She didn't want to hurt anyone. She only wanted to play, to laugh, to be like them. But they hated her. By age 10, she was sent away. Banished, her mother cried. Her father didn't say a word, and Kealara, standing alone in the cold sand, watched her home disappear behind steel walls. For years, she lived alone, in the dead ruins of an old city. No people, no voices, only wind, broken glass, and silence. She grew strong, quiet, wild. The fire in her eyes never faded. And then, one day, a ship fell from the sky. Kealara stood on a cliff, watching smoke rise in the distance. Something had crashed. Hard. She moved fast, her feet silent over stone. Her long coat blew in the hot wind. When she reached the crash site, she stayed hidden behind black rocks. It was a small ship. Not alien. Not like hers. Human. The man inside was hurt. Bleeding. His skin was pale, like old paper. His breathing was slow. Kealara tilted her head. She had never seen a human before. They were rare in this part of space. They were curious creatures. Brave. Stupid. Kind. She stepped closer, but then, a deep growl. From the shadows, a carn beast appeared. Tall as a truck. Black fur. Yellow teeth. It moved toward the human, sniffing the blood. Ready to feed? Kealara didn't think. She raised her hand. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a pulse of red light exploded from her palm. Not fire, not heat. Something else. Pure energy. The beast flew back, slammed into a metal wall, and didn't move again. The human saw none of it. He had fainted. Kealara walked over and looked down at him. He looked so weak, but peaceful. She could leave. She should leave. But she didn't. He woke up hours later, inside a small shelter. His wounds were cleaned. Someone had wrapped his arm. A bowl of warm food sat beside him. He looked around. No one there, but he saw something on the floor, drawn in dust. A strange mark. A symbol, not human. He smiled. "Thank you," he said out loud, even though no one answered. "I don't know who you are, but I'm not afraid." From the cliff above, Kealara watched him. She heard his words. No one had ever said that to her before. "I'm not afraid." For the first time in years, the fire in her eyes softened. But deep inside, she knew something. This was only the beginning. The humans would come. They always came, and when they found out who she was, what she could do, they would fear her too. Unless this one was different. The human, who didn't run. The man opened his eyes to a gray sky and the sound of wind whispering through broken towers. His name was Jack Ryder, a human explorer from Earth's outer colony. His ship had crashed and now he was alive, but not alone. His wounds had been treated. Someone had left water, food, even bandaged his arm. Someone had saved him. But who? Jack sat up slowly. Pain crawled up his side, but he ignored it. He checked the crash site. His gear was mostly destroyed. No signal. No rescue. And yet, something kept him calm. The memory of a red light, bright like a burning sun, just before he passed out. And a shape, tall and silent, standing in the flames. Not human. He looked toward the mountains. He was being watched. He was sure of it. Kaylara crouched high above, hidden between stone pillars. She had saved him. She didn't know why. Something about this human was strange. He did not run. He did not scream. He had looked at her with eyes full of pain, not fear. She had seen fear her whole life. But this man, he was something else. Still, she didn't trust him. Not yet. She watched him for 2 more days. He explored the ruins, studied old tech, drew maps in the dirt, and always left a small plate of food outside the shelter before sleeping. A silent message. I know you're there. Thank you. On the 3rd night, she came closer. Jack sat near a fire made from scavenged wires and metal. He didn't flinch when she stepped into the light. He didn't even turn around. Took you long enough, he said softly. Kaylara froze. Jack smiled. You've been watching me since I crashed. I saw your shadow on the cliff. I saw your footprints. You didn't hide them very well. Kaylara said nothing. Jack looked over his shoulder. You saved me. I owe you. Still, no reply. Then, he turned fully toward her. For the first time, Kaylara stepped into full view. Her eyes glowed like dying stars. Red. Ancient. Powerful. Jack's breath caught. She waited for him to scream, to run. But Jack only whispered, So it's true. The stories are real. Kaylara tilted her head. What stories? About the girl with fire in her eyes. The last of the old race. The weapon who didn't want to fight. Her hands clenched. I'm not a weapon, she said. I believe you, Jack said. And he meant it. They spoke little that night. Kaylara asked about Earth. Jack spoke of oceans, music, and people who built instead of destroyed. She listened, half believing. Then Jack asked, Why are you here alone? Kaylara looked away. Because my kind feared me. They said I was too dangerous, too broken. Jack was silent, then said, Sometimes, the broken ones are just ahead of their time. Those words stayed with her. Days passed. She showed him places deep under the ruins, forgotten tunnels, ancient machines humming with energy. Jack studied everything. Kaylara noticed something. Whenever she touched certain metal doors or stone panels, they opened. Only for her, Jack saw it too. They built this place for you, he said one day. Kaylara nodded. Or for others like me. Long ago. Then why did they turn on you? She looked at her hands. Red light danced across her skin. Because they feared what they couldn't control. Jack understood that far too well. But peace doesn't last. Long on the 6th night, Jack's device lit up with a red signal. He stared at it, confused. It's a recall ping, he said. From Earth. How? There's no signal tower here. Kaylara's face went cold. It's not from Earth. Then from where? She said nothing. Jack decoded the signal. A message played in his earpiece. Target located. Confirmed energy. Match. Prepare for extraction. He froze. They're coming, Kaylara said. Who? Your people, or what's left of them. Jack looked up at her. They think you're a weapon. Kaylara turned toward the sky. They're wrong. But Jack wasn't sure if she meant wrong about her being a weapon, or wrong to come for her at all. In the sky, a tiny light blinked. A ship. Far, but getting closer. Jack stood beside Kaylara. If they come for you, he said, they'll have to go through me. Kaylara looked at him, truly looked at him. No one had ever stood beside her before. But now, maybe, someone finally would. Whispers of war. The wind had changed. Kaylara stood at the edge of the ridge, her red eyes watching the sky. A black dot had appeared above the clouds. Not a star. Not a bird. A ship. Jack stood beside her, his face pale. The recall signal still echoed in his head. Every word burned like fire. Target located. Confirmed energy match. Prepare for extraction. They know you're alive, he said quietly. Kaylara didn't answer. She had known this day would come, but not so soon. Back in the shelter, Jack checked his device again. The signal was military grade, encrypted. Only high-level Earth Command could send it. How could they find us? He asked. Kaylara sat across from him, silent, staring into the fire. This world was hidden, she said. Abandoned centuries ago. They didn't find us by accident. Jack narrowed his eyes. Then how? She looked up. Her voice was soft but sharp. They were already looking for me. Jack froze. Why? Kaylara took a long breath. Because of what I carry. What do you mean? She stood and walked to the far wall. Ancient markings covered the stone, lines and symbols that glowed faintly as she neared them. Jack followed. She touched a symbol. The wall opened. Behind it, a chamber. Old, untouched. The air felt heavier inside. Quiet. Electric. In the center was a tall, crystal-like device. It pulsed with light the same shade as her eyes. What is this place? Jack asked. Kaylara stepped closer to the crystal. Her hand hovered over it. My kind once ruled through fear, she said. Not strength, fear. This was one of their weapons, a living machine, but it needed a power source. Something more than energy. It needed blood. Specific blood. She looked back at Jack. My blood. Jack felt a chill crawl down his spine. So they made you for this? Kaylara nodded. Not just me. There were others, born with the fire, raised to connect with these machines to be used as keys. And weapons, Jack added. She didn't deny it. What happened to the others? He asked. Gone, she said. Dead. Or erased. Jack looked at the glowing crystal. But you survived. Kaylara stepped back. I was a child when the war ended. They hid me. Then they feared I'd bring it back. Jack turned to her. Is that what they think now? That you'll start another war? Kaylara didn't answer. Because deep inside, she wasn't sure herself. That night, neither of them slept. The signal grew stronger. The ship was closer. Kaylara walked outside alone. She looked at the stars. So far, so quiet. The world didn't care about her pain. The sky didn't care about her story. But maybe Jack did. For the first time, that scared her more than the war. At dawn, Jack checked the scanner. They'll be here in less than a day, he said. Kaylara packed what little she had. We leave now. Where? There's a gate. Ancient tech, buried deep underground. It can move us far from here, if I can power it. Jack frowned. You mean with your blood? Kaylara nodded. It's risky, but we have no choice. They headed into the ruins, deeper than ever before. Stairs led down into darkness. Walls pulsed with old energy as Kaylara walked past. They reached a chamber like no other. Giant rings floating above stone. Dead now. Jack studied the console. This hasn't worked in 100 years. Kaylara didn't reply. She walked to the center and knelt. She pressed her palm to the ground. Red light exploded outward. Machines screamed back to life. But something else woke too. From the far side of the chamber, metal arms unfolded. A voice echoed, ancient and cold. Unauthorized power signature detected. Threat level, extreme. Jack stepped back. What is that? Kaylara stood. A guardian, old tech, built to destroy anyone who tries to leave. Can you shut it down? Kaylara stared at the machine. No. Then what do we do? She looked at Jack, eyes burning. We fight. Outside, the ship descended through clouds. Earth Command was arriving with guns, drones, and orders. Inside the ruins, Kaylara's red light met machine fire. The war hadn't started yet. But the whispers had become screams, and both Kaylara and Jack were running out of time. Run or fight dust rained from the ceiling. The old gateway chamber shook under their feet. Stone cracked. Machines sparked. The Guardian had awakened. Taller than both of them, its body was made of dark alloy and glowing blades. It moved like a shadow, but its eyes, cold white, watched Kaylara with one purpose: eliminate. Jack raised his arm, aiming his small plasma sidearm. "Run," Kaylara said, stepping in front of him. "We can both run," Jack replied, but she shook her head. "It's me it wants. It always was," the Guardian charged. Kaylara moved first. A blast of red light shot from her palm, slamming into the machine's chest. It staggered but didn't fall. Instead, it adapted. Blades folded back, revealing cannons. They fired. Blue beams tore through the air. Jack dove behind a pillar. Kaylara jumped, landing on the wall like gravity didn't exist. Her body pulsed with energy. This was not the quiet, lonely girl Jack had met days ago. This was something ancient, something made for war. Outside the ruins, the sky opened. An Earth command cruiser arrived. Black, sleek, cold. Drones swarmed from its belly like insects, scanning, searching. Commander Lara Reeve stood on the deck, arms behind her back, face like stone. "Locate the source," she said. "Contain the target. If containment fails..." She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. The officers nodded. They all knew what the last order meant. Back underground, the battle raged. The Guardian cornered Kaylara. Its blades whirled, cutting through stone. She dodged left, too slow. Her side was slashed. Blood hit the ground, glowing faintly red. The machine paused. It scanned her blood. Match confirmed. New protocol activated. The Guardian knelt. Jack watched, in shock as the killing machine suddenly bowed its head. Kaylara stared at it. "What's happening?" Jack asked, stepping out from behind cover. "It recognized me," she said. "As what?" She looked at him. "Its master. The old tech had chosen." She stepped toward the console. Red light followed her fingers. The ancient rings of the gate hummed, then turned, slow at first, then faster. Sparks danced. A pulse echoed through the chamber. The portal was opening. But then, Jack's device beeped. Enemy presence. Closing in. He looked up at her. "They're here." Kaylara turned away from the gate, then we're out of time. Above ground, the first drone entered the ruins. Jack's tracker sent a false signal, leading them in the wrong direction, buying minutes, maybe seconds. But Commander Reeve was not fooled. She had studied Kaylara's file for years. She knew the target's value, and she knew Jack. "He'll protect her," she told her second in command. "Even from us." "Why?" the officer asked. "Because he's human," she said. "He still thinks she's a person." The officer frowned. "Isn't she?" Reeve didn't answer. The gate whirled faster now, the air buzzed. A ripple of heat pushed Jack backward. Kaylara turned to him. "Once the portal opens," she said, "I'll go through, alone." Jack blinked. "What?" "They won't follow you. But if you go with me, they'll never stop." Jack stepped closer. "You saved my life. You showed me everything. And now you want me to just walk away?" Kaylara looked down. "I'm not worth dying for." Jack raised her chin gently. "You don't get to decide that." Then he took her hand. But the moment broke when a blast shook the ground. A drone flew in, followed by two more. They opened fire. Kaylara covered Jack with her body. The Guardian moved too, intercepting the drones midair. Its blades sliced through them like paper. The exit was collapsing. "Go!" she shouted. Jack hesitated. But then, he ran with her. They reached the portal. The rings were unstable. The energy field flickered. Not safe. But there was no time. Jack looked back once. Earth forces were coming. Kaylara gripped his hand. We jumped together. And they did. Into light. Into fire. Into the unknown. Seconds later, Commander Reeve reached the chamber. The portal collapsed just as she arrived. Too late. Where did they go? an officer asked. She stared at the smoking ground. We'll find them. And when we do? Next time, she said coldly, we don't ask for surrender. Elsewhere, on a world far from any star chart, Kaylara and Jack fell from the sky. They hit ground hard, surrounded by red mist and tall, glowing trees, alive, together, but far from safe. Kaylara looked around and then whispered, "This planet? It remembers me." Jack turned to her. "What do you mean?" She looked afraid, not of death but of memory. Because this is where the war started. Betrayal in the stars. The sky was silent. No ships, no signals, no enemies. But Kaylara didn't relax. This place was not home. It was a grave. She knew it well. They had called it Valkyrie once, a jungle world wrapped in red mist and broken memories. Long ago it had been a battlefield. The first weapon tests, the first cities destroyed. And now it was dead. The trees here glowed faintly, tall and twisted. The ground hummed. The air smelled of static. Jack looked around. This planet, it feels alive. Kaylara said nothing, because it was. They built a small shelter near the edge of a canyon. Jack scouted for food, scanning for life forms. Most had mutated. Plants had grown teeth. Insects had wings made of glass. Kaylara sat near the old ruins of a collapsed tower, her hand on the soil, her mind somewhere else. This is where they made us, she thought, where the first fireborn were created, and where most were destroyed. Jack returned with a pack full of protein vines. He tossed one to Kaylara. She caught it without looking. "How? Long can we stay here?" he asked. She shook her head. "Not long. The energy I used to open the gate, it leaves a trail. They'll find us again." "Then what's the plan?" Kaylara looked at the ruins behind her. "We wake the heart." Jack frowned. "What heart?" "This world's core reactor, the oldest one of its kind. It's sleeping, but with enough power it can open a gate large enough to jump anywhere, even across galaxies." Jack nodded slowly. "And let me guess. Only your blood can wake it?" Kaylara smiled without joy. "Of course." 3 days passed. They moved, deeper underground through tunnels carved by long-dead machines. The walls pulsed when Kaylara walked by. Doors opened. Lights flickered. Everything here remembered her, and obeyed. They reached the reactor chamber. It was beautiful and terrifying, a tower of metal veins glowing faintly blue, surrounded by floating rings and ancient script. It looked alive, like a heart trapped in stone. Jack set up a data link to scan the structure. But something wasn't right. A second signal pinged nearby. Familiar. Human. Jack turned pale. "There's someone else here." Kaylara stood still. "What?" He pulled out his scanner. "It's weak, but close. 2 kilometers north. Human life sign." Kaylara narrowed her eyes. This world should be empty. Jack hesitated. Unless someone followed us through, or was already here. They tracked the signal, moved through thick fog and dead trees, and then, out of nowhere, they found a camp, old Earth-style tents, broken solar panels, and a tall man standing near a fire. He turned, and Jack froze. "Reeve?" The man smiled. Not cold like Commander Lara Reeve. This was Mason Reeve, Jack's old friend, once his commander, once a brother. Jack stepped forward. "Mason? How are you here?" Mason laughed. "You're not the only one who knows how to bypass a gate. Earth Command sent me the moment your ship crashed." Kaylara didn't speak. She could feel the wrongness in the air. Jack grinned and hugged Mason. "You're alive," Jack said. Mason nodded. "Barely. Been hiding for months." He looked at Kaylara. "So, this is her." Jack moved beside her protectively. "She has a name." Mason's smile didn't fade. "Of course. And don't worry, and I'm not here to take her." For 2 days they camped together, shared stories, caught up. But Kaylara watched Mason carefully. He was too calm, too clean, too prepared, and his signal had never moved in days, like it was planted. On the third night, she searched his pack and found it, a beacon, silent, low energy, sending coordinates to Earth Command. She confronted Jack first. He refused to believe it. He saved me. Back in the war, he pulled me out of a burning crawler. Kaylara nodded. And now he's going to sell you for a seat at the high table. Jack's world cracked. But the real break came an hour later, when they returned to camp and Mason stood there, plasma pistol in hand, aimed at Kaylara. Jack stepped in front. Don't do this. Mason's smile was gone. Jack, she's a weapon you don't understand. With her blood, we can power every colony, win every war, no more fuel, no more fear. This is bigger than you. She's not a weapon, Jack shouted. You're wrong, Mason said quietly. She just hasn't been used properly yet. Kaylara didn't move, her voice calm. Then shoot me. Now. Mason hesitated. That was his mistake. In that single moment, Kaylara raised her, hand a silent pulse. The pistol melted. Mason screamed, his hand burning. Jack moved fast, tackled him. They tied him, left him under the old tower, but not before Kaylara walked close. You were right, she whispered. About what? Mason hissed. I am a weapon. Then she turned. But I choose who I fight for. Later, Jack stared at the stars. Kaylara sat beside him. You okay? She asked. Jack didn't answer for a long time. You trusted me, he said finally. And I trusted him. Trust hurts, she said. But betrayal cuts deeper. He looked at her. Will you always choose to fight? She met his eyes. Not if I don't have to. They looked back at the reactor in the distance. The heart was waiting, but so was war. And now, the galaxy knew she was alive. The awakening, the heart of the world began to beat again. Kaylara stood in front of it, stone and steel wrapped around, a living core pulsing red like the fire in her eyes. Each thump sent echoes through the old planet, waking things long buried in the soil and in her memory. Jack watched from behind, silent. The chamber felt heavier than before, almost alive. Once, this activates, Kaylara whispered. There's no turning back. Jack stepped closer. What happens when you connect to it? She looked down at her hands. They were trembling. I don't know, she said. No one's ever survived full contact. The reactor core, called the heart, was not a machine. It was alive in some way. Ancient, fused with consciousness, it remembered things. And once connected, it didn't just share power, it shared truth. Kaylara removed the last safety lock from the platform. The glowing strands above them twisted, almost like veins. Are you sure this is the only way? Jack asked. Kaylara nodded. They'll find us even here. We need a way out, and this is the only thing powerful enough to move across the galaxy. Jack placed a hand on her shoulder. Then I'm with you. Her eyes met his. No, she said. Not this time. She stepped into the core alone. The door sealed behind her. Jack could only watch through the thick glass, her figure outlined in glowing red and white. She knelt, placed both palms on the pulsing floor. Nothing happened at first. Then, everything changed. Her eyes snapped open, and the world around her shattered. Kaylara didn't just see memories, she became them. She stood on battlefields she had never fought on. She heard screams in her ears, saw her people, once noble, turn into monsters. She saw children like her, born with red fire in their eyes, trained in cages, controlled, twisted. She saw one girl fight back. That girl became a threat. That girl was her. Kaylara screamed, but no sound came. The core wasn't just showing her the truth. It was asking her a question. Are you a weapon? Or something else? Outside the chamber, Jack saw the walls crack. The lights above exploded. Alarms screamed in a forgotten language. Something was wrong. He slammed his hand on the control panel. Open the door. No response. Inside, Kaylara floated now. Energy, wrapping around her body, burning away the old clothes, revealing the marks on her skin glowing brighter than ever. But she wasn't burning out. She was changing, evolving. The fire wasn't wild anymore. It was focused. And then, silence, a calm like the eye of a storm. The door opened. Kaylara stepped out. Not shaking, not broken, reborn. Her eyes still burned red, but something behind them had changed. Control, clarity, peace. Jack stared at her, stunned. "Are you okay?" She nodded slowly. "Yes." "What happened in there?" Kaylara looked at her hand. Pure energy flowed just beneath the skin. "The core didn't just give me power," she said softly. "It gave me back my past. It showed me what they did to us, and why they failed." "Why?" She looked up. "Because they tried to kill what they couldn't control, and they forgot something," she whispered. Jack leaned closer. "What?" Kaylara stepped past him, her voice calm. "You can't control something once it learns to control itself." Hours later, Jack tuned into a secure frequency. A hidden signal came through. A voice. "Unit 09, do you copy? This is Eden Base. Is the target alive?" Jack hesitated. Kaylara looked at him. He turned off the signal. "We don't answer to them anymore," he said, but far above them ships were moving. Commander Reeve was coming, and this time she wasn't bringing drones. She was bringing gods. Kaylara stood at the top of the canyon, eyes closed. The air shifted. The planet whispered. She could feel them, coming closer. But she wasn't afraid anymore. The weapon inside her was not asleep, and it was not alone. The fire that chose peace. The stars above Valkyrie were no longer quiet. One by one, dark shapes blinked into orbit. Warships from Earth Command, cloaked in black armor and armed with orbital cannons. They didn't arrive with a warning. They arrived with a sentence. Commander Lara Reeve stood on the command deck staring at the world below. "The target is confirmed," she said. "Initiate final protocol." Her officers hesitated. "Ma'am, are we sure?" Reeve's voice was cold. "She chose to run. Now we make sure she never runs again." On the surface, Jack stood at the edge of the canyon. He looked up at the sky, now flickering with distant thunder. The storm wasn't natural, it was metal. Ships, missiles, fire. He turned to Kaylara. She stood at the center of the ancient platform, her eyes glowing, not wildly, but steady. Her skin shimmered with soft light. Energy pulsed beneath it like a sleeping sun. She wasn't afraid, she was ready. "You don't have to do this," Jack said. Kaylara shook her head. "Yes, I do. They'll paint you as the enemy." She looked at him gently. "I've always been their enemy. But this time, I get to choose what kind of enemy I become." Jack stepped forward, his voice shaking. "If you fight back, the whole galaxy will see you as a threat." Kaylara smiled sadly. "Then I'll show them something they've never seen." "What? Mercy?" The first wave came fast. Orbital drones dropped like knives, burning through the atmosphere. Kaylara didn't move. Her hands were open. Jack stood behind a rock, shouting, "Kaylara, move!" She didn't. The drones fired, and in one silent breath she raised a single hand. Red light rippled across the sky like a shield, catching every blast mid-air. The energy didn't explode. It dissolved. The drones spun out, their cores disarmed. One by one they crashed into the jungle, not a single life taken. Commander Reeve watched from orbit. "She's not firing back?" Her officers stared in confusion. "Ma'am, she's disabling them without killing." Reeve's jaw clenched. "Then escalate. Deploy the God-level AI." From the flagship, a sphere of pure light was launched, not a bomb, not a drone, a thinking weapon, the newest prototype, designed to end civilizations without emotion. It dropped into the atmosphere, scanning, adjusting, calculating. Kaylara watched it come. This was not a machine of war. It was war itself. Jack ran to her. "What is that?" "A final test," She whispered. They want to see if I'll break. Will you? Kalara's voice was quiet. Maybe. The AI spoke through every frequency. You are unauthorized, you are unstable. You are a danger to universal order. Surrender or be neutralized. Kalara closed her eyes and whispered, I am not your enemy. The AI paused. Error. This unit does not understand. Kalara stepped forward. No fire, no rage, just power held with purpose. Then learn, she said. And in that moment, she reached out, not with fists, not with fire, but with a signal of peace. For the first time, the weapon chose not to fight. The AI hesitated. No logic matched the outcome, no simulation predicted it. A weapon that refused to destroy. It scanned her again and found something strange. No threat detected, it powered down, floated gently to the ground, and deactivated. In orbit, Reeve stared at the screen. Silence. She stopped it. Someone whispered. Reeve said nothing. The war was over, without a single death. A week later, transmissions flooded every channel. Footage of Kalara saving the planet, disarming weapons, stopping machines with light, not violence. People across the galaxy saw her not as a weapon, not as a ghost of the old wars, but as a choice. And that changed everything. Earth Command was forced to pull back. Too many voices now. Too much truth. In the quiet after the storm, Kalara and Jack stood by a river, under glowing trees. What now? Jack asked. Kalara looked at the horizon. They'll still watch me. Will they attack again? Maybe. And if they do, she turned to him. Then I'll remind them. Of what? She smiled. That peace isn't weakness. It's power under control. The fire in her eyes still burned, but it didn't rage. It warmed. And somewhere, across 1,000 stars, children with glowing red eyes would one day hear her name, not with fear, but with hope.